right, good morning, everyone. It's a little past 9 here, so I think we should probably get started. This training will probably go about an hour, might be a little bit less, depending on questions at the end. I will say just keep your questions till the end. There should be an option there to chat in if you do have something that you want to ask. But just want to introduce myself first. I am the Northern Regional Sales Manager. My name is Noah Campbell. I do the majority of our combustion analyzer training and obviously sales throughout North America here. So I want to get started and go over some training on the A450 and the A550 combustion analyzers. So the first thing I want to cover this morning is I want to cover, what's in your analyzer kit. So when you purchase a new analyzer, first of all, you're going to either purchase numerous amounts of different kit options. So it's important to understand, and identify what kit of the A450 or A550 that you have. Everybody should get obviously a combustion analyzer, and that combustion analyzer will come with a probe and hose assembly. Obviously the A550 and A450 probe and hose assemblies are going to be a little bit different. Some kits will come with an air temperature probe. Now, the air temperature probe is used to measure ambient air and air intake. Some of these kits will not come with a air temperature probe, and some will. All the kits should come with dust filters. So the dust filter is really used to collect dust and debris in the water trap. And then you have the coarse filter and water stop. So the coarse filter is also used to collect dust and debris, and the water stop is obviously used to stop water infiltration. All the analyzer kits will come with a USB charger and some universal plugins. So if you're ever planning on leaving the US, you have some additional plugins that you could use to plug in your analyzer overseas. You'll have some clamping cones in there. One is for air temperature. That'll be a plastic type cone. And then the one for your gas probe will be a metal cone. So moving on here, I wanted to go over just some of the key features that the A450 and the A550 have. So with the A450, some of the key features you're going to get is the tuning guide. You're going to have a manifold pressure test. You're going to be able to do an ambient CO test. The A450 will be the app compatible. You're going to have a built-in manometer in there, and you're going to have the option to throw in an NO sensor. So if you require low NOx testing, you can put an additional NO sensor in there to give you that low NOx testing feature. And then the A550, you're going to have, depending on what kit you have or what A550 kit you have, you're going to have some of these features and you may not have others. So some of the kits have a tuning guide, they have a manifold pressure test, ambient CO, app compatibility, built-in manometer. Some are going to have an option for NO, NO2, SO2. So if you do have that true NOx or SOx testing requirement, the A550 is going to give you that capability. You're going to have a wood moisture test in there. So if you're testing on wood fire boilers, the wood moisture test is nice because then you can test the moisture level in the wood that you're putting in, your wood fire boiler. You're going to have a logging feature. So if you need to do continuous testing over time, the A550 is going to give you, the logging capability to where you can see your readings, capture your readings over a certain amount of time. We'll get in more of some of these features as we go along here, but I just wanted to point out, obviously the key features that each analyzer had. With the A550, you're also going to have the auto purge pump, and then some A550 kits are going to have that button on the probe that stops and starts combustion testing. So going over some of the maintenance and upkeep of our analyzers, it's pretty simple. There is very limited maintenance that you should have to do on your on your own. A lot of the maintenance and upkeep is done at Wöhler when you send it in to us for service. But I want to go over some of the stuff that you can do to upkeep your analyzers on a daily basis. So like I said, obviously recommended annual calibration by Wöhler. We recommend a yearly calibration. Now, obviously, a yearly calibration is pretty standard throughout the market with combustion analyzers. Most of all the other manufacturers also require a yearly calibration, but it's really dependent on how much you use it, I would say. If you're a person that uses it maybe once or twice a year, you may be able to extend that calibration out past a year, but it is by factory recommendation that you get it calibrated every year. We recommend too that if you have an 8550 and you have the coarse filter, that you press out the condensation and get any water out of it, and then you empty the water trap out if you notice that it fills up with water. So also too, we recommend greasing the seal rings, and really, that's not something that you should have to really do, but the point is, some of these O-rings and gaskets, it's really important that these stay intact. You want a tight seal around your water trap and your hose and probe assembly. That way you don't have any ambient air getting inside the sampling path of the probe in the analyzer. That would distort some of your readings. So it's important that you have a tight seal there. And then obviously too, making sure that the dust filter is changed out frequently, especially if you notice it get discolored or collect any dust, or if you've sucked up a lot of water. These are really simple to replace. For example, here's some pictures of the A450. As you can see, you pull the water trap out there, remove the water stop, and then the dust filter sits right below that water stop. So you can pull it out, put a new one in, pop the water stop in, and twist your water trap back into your analyzer. It's really simple. And the design on the A450s make it so that the upkeep and maintenance that you would do there on your own is fairly simple. So I want to get moving on here. And so I wanted to go over, just some of the things that Wöhler would take care of in-house when you send in for an annual calibration. A lot of people ask, what's the benefits of having Wöhler do my calibration? Why can't I just, what's the benefit of just buying sensors and popping a new sensor in there versus you guys doing the calibration? Well, there's a lot of things that go into a full Wöhler calibration. I do want to mention that our calibration times are run at a 72-hour turnaround time. If you have to send in for calibration, you're not going to be without your analyzer for very long. Obviously the turnaround time is pretty amazing. So here's some of the items that are on the service checklist that the service technicians will go over when you send an analyzer in to us. First of all, they're going to check the sensor age. So there's some sensors in the analyzer, including the O2 sensor, which need replaced over time. So they're going to check the age to make sure that they're within the age requirement. They're going to check the sensitivity level on the sensors, and then they're going to set the gas parameter. So that's what really calibration means. They're going to run gas through it and make sure that the sensor recognizes for example, what 100 part per million of CO or 1,000 parts per million of CO would look like. And then they're going to check the pump speed. If there's any debris or dirt or moisture buildup, they're going to clean that pump out completely. So they're going to make sure that the pump in the analyzer is running the way it should be. If it's not, they're going to replace it for you. They're going to check the probe and hose, make sure there's no leaks in there. Like we said earlier, it's really important that the hose and the probe has a tight seal connection so there's no ambient air seeping in and affecting any readings on your analyzer. They're going to set the parameters on the temperature sensor, so you're getting an accurate T-stack or T-air reading. They're going to set the parameter on your draft sensor. And then they're going to also do any accessories that you send back for service. They're going to check the functionality. So if you send a printer back, they're going to check that. Let's say you throw in a Wohler DM602 manometer, they're going to make sure that that's going to work properly. Now, if you throw in a Dwyer manometer, we're not going to check that because that's not a Wohler product. So the point is here, if when you send in an analyzer, send in every single part that you have that you use within that kit, and our service technicians are going to take a look at it, making sure everything is running the way it should be. So here's some of the basics of turning on your analyzer. So when you turn on your analyzer, you're going to, in this picture here, we can see it loading. So this is the first screen that you're going to see when you start up your analyzer. So when you see this screen, what this screen is telling you is that the O2 sensor in the analyzer is being calibrated and the parameter is being set. So at this point, when this is turning on, it's really important that you have this out in fresh air, and that could be outside and outdoors, or this could be if you can't be outdoors, making sure just that the probe is pulled out of the flue. You never want to start an analyzer up when your probe's in the flue, even if the furnace or boiler is turned off, it doesn't matter. You want to make sure that this is in completely clean air. That way you get a good calibration. If you have an A550, you're going to notice that your startup's a little bit different. On your startup, the first thing you're going to see is a hotspot search. So what the hotspot search is it's almost essentially, I call it kind of a metal detector. But what that is, it's looking for the hottest part of your flue. So if you're testing boilers with big diameter flues, you want to make sure that you're finding the hottest point of that flue. So we'll get in a little more of the hotspot search and how to use that. But it is kind of important feature and a nice feature to have, especially if you're in more of an industrial application. And it's just something to note here, the A450 doesn't have that hotspot search. The A450 is really meant for a residential application or like commercial. So there's really no need, obviously, for a hotspot search with the A450. So, here's an example of setting up a new customer profile. So a lot of people don't realize that the A450 has this feature. So the A450 has the capability to create custom profiles within the analyzer. And this is really important because if you have several hundred different customers and they all have service contracts with you and you go out and see them every year, you need a way to compare results from last year to this year. And by creating a customer profile within the analyzer, it allows you to reference data or go back whenever you need to and print out results, or use the app to send emails of the customer's readings. So let's say we go out to a customer's job and we take an ambient CO test, we take a manifold pressure test, temperature measurement, combustion analysis test. We can put all of that within the customer profile and save that data on the analyzer. So here's just an example of how you would add in a new customer. So if you're at the main screen here of the A450 or A550, you can go into customers, and then once you click on customers, it's gonna ask you to create a new customer. So you would hit new customer, and then you would fill out some of the details. So you would put in your customer name. It's gonna give you the option to create a system name and a system number. So if your customer has two different boilers in their house, you can identify which boiler is which by using that system name and number. And then to then go back and select it, it's real simple. You would just go back out to the customer's profile, double click twice on the customer, and then you'll see on the top right hand corner after selecting which customer is selected. So then at that point you can start doing all of your testing. So here's something that a lot of people don't utilize, the system data. So if you're on a customer's profile, You can select, you can add in pH values, boiler temps. If you have 2 different technicians that use the analyzer, you can identify which one of your technicians did the test by selecting a boiler man. You can put in your boiler type, rated power. You can input all this data. So it's more data that you can throw into your test report to show your customer a more laid out test report. So here's selecting your fuel type. So this is really simple. Now to select your fuel type, you do have to be in your main testing screen. So before you start a combustion test, you can hit the left-hand top-hand corner. As you can see on the slides, the natural gas is selected. You would just tap there, and then the picture to the right, here's where you would select your new fuel. The analyzers do have a setting to where you can create your own fuel parameter. So if you're in a testing lab or you're doing research on a new fuel type, as long as you know the fuel parameters, you can add that into your analyzer. So if you did want to add in a fuel parameter, reach out to Wöhler Tech Support and they can help you create a new fuel type. But like I said, you will have to know the parameters in order to set that within the analyzer. But just wanted to make that, make everyone aware that that is available if you need to utilize it. Okay, so some of the receipt printouts. So you can adjust your receipt printouts to wherever you want to look. So, so here's an example. So a customer wants to adjust their readings. They've selected a custom logo. They've done a combustion test. They want to put that in there. They want to put the technician name. You can edit your receipt printouts however you like. One thing I did want to point out is obviously if you haven't done a combustion test yet, you will not see the option to select a combustion test on your receipt printout, your readings menu. You're only going to be able to select and deselect the items that you've ran a test for. So here's some of the options in the setup menu. The setup menu is otherwise known as the settings, the general settings of the analyzer. So here's where you're going to be able to change your date, your time, your date and time format, your brightness level, buzzer. So if on your analyzer, every time you click something, it beeps. If you go into the buzzer, you can turn off the beeping or make it louder or whatever you want to do. And I did want to point out too, the LAN config, you shouldn't ever really have to mess with the LAN config setting. As long as you leave that factory settings, you'll never, so that's really for adjusting the settings to connect to the app. So my recommendation is that you don't touch that at all, just leave it factory settings and you won't have any issues. But here's what the LAN config should look like. So this is really meant, like I said, for connecting to the app. So I won't go over this much, but I just wanted to reference this is what it should look like. If it looks like this, you will never have a problem connecting to the app. So the quick save. So in the setup menu, you have the option for quick save. So the quick save is meant for if you don't want to create a customer profile, but you want your reading, you want your combustion analysis or any of the other tests that you perform to be saved no matter what. When your quick save's enabled, it's going to give you, after you do a combustion test, it's going to save it automatically, but it's going to save it under the date and time that you've done the test. So if you are in quick save and you did a test on 10/10 of 23, the test report is going to show up as 10/10/23. So you need to go back there if you need to reference your readings. And then another nice feature that I always recommend to people is that you turn on the filter warning and service warning. So the filter warning is gonna, if that's enabled, it's gonna allow the analyzer to tell you if one of your filters is clogged or damaged and it needs replaced. So the analyzer is gonna detect the airflow stoppage or an error, and going to throw up the error. So I do want to note too, when you get the filter warning, it's not going to be erased until the problem's solved and the analyzer is restarted. Also too, available is the service warning. So if you want your analyzer to alert you when it's time to send in for calibration, you can set that up. It's going to alert you annually. Now, obviously, you can turn that off. Let's say you're 6 months past when it was supposed to be sent in. You can turn that message off if it's annoying. But those are two features that I always recommend, especially if you really want to stay up to date with your your service and upkeep on your analyzer. And that, like I said, that can be all found in the setup menu or the settings. By just scrolling all the way down, you'll see filter warning and service warning. So here's some of the different parameters that you can put into your analyzer. Now, obviously, depending on what type of analyzer that you have, you may not have access to some of these readings. So as you can see, there's a lot of parameters that you can put in your analyzer that you may have never known that were available. Now, it's important to say that you can edit your analyzer to however you want it to look like. So if you only wanted to have on your analyzer O2, CO, efficiency, you can put that in your analyzer. You can adjust your layout however you want. But there is some readings in here you may have not known that are available that could be benefit to you to have there. So I wanted to just give you an overview of what the Wohler Combustion app is. It's a very simple app to use, and it's really meant for saving reports, being able to send reports via email, doing a lifetime combustion analysis, and being able to graph. So it really mirrors your analyzer. So if you wanted to see lifetime readings, if you wanted to put an analyzer in a boiler room, leave it go, and walk out of the room, the app will give you the option to see the lifetime readings, to be able to graph them on your phone. So it's really nice. It's a nice feature to have, and it's simple. So so here's how you would essentially connect to the app. Like I said before, as long as these readings are all factory set, your analyzer is ready to go. It should be able to connect to the app with no problem. So when you connect to the app, the first thing you want to do is go to your smartphone and go as if you're connecting to a new Wi-Fi signal. The analyzer or the iPhone or Android is going to display, it's going to say, as a network name, it's going to say Wöhler A450 and then give your serial number. So then at that point, you would click on that, and then obviously it's going to ask for a network password. The standard password is 1234567 You're going to type that in, and then it's going to establish a connection between the analyzer and phone. And then at that point, you can navigate to the Wöhler A450, or I'm sorry, the Wöhler Combustion Analysis app. You would hit Connect Device, and then it's going to come up and say flue gas analysis. And at that point, you're going to start mirroring everything that the analyzer sees. You're connected to the app. You can, like I said, start seeing readings. You can send reports to yourself, save readings, graph, whatever you want to do with the app. So here's some of the features that the A550 has, being that it's it's an analyzer more geared to industrial applications. It's going to have some features that obviously benefit you in those situations. So this is the spillage test. So the spillage test is there to detect any unwanted flue gas that has escaped from the heating appliance. So this does require a separate probe to detect any spillage that's escaped from your heating appliance. So it's really simple to use. You would go into your main menu, select spillage test. It's going to bring up the graph that you see all the way to the right, and it's going to start detecting it with the probe attached. So it's gonna tell you if there's any, flue gas spillage, and it's calculating using the dew point. And then you can put this, these test results in your report, or obviously you can leave them out. So here's the logger function that I was talking about earlier. The logger function, like I said, is used in the A550 if you want to do continuous measurement. So let's say you want to start a test on 11/11 and you want it to end on 11/13. You can set your analyzer up to capture your combustion readings every 10 minutes. You can even set it to purge. So let's say you want it to purge every 2 hours. You can set the interval for that. So it's a nice feature, especially if you're doing research, or you're in a research lab, or you want to just see what's going on with your boiler over time. It's having issues, and you want to see what's going on. So this is nice to have. And then ambient CO checks. So the ambient CO checks is going to be on all of the analyzers. And if let's say you get a call from a customer, and the customer says, I'm feeling really lightheaded. I haven't had my furnace or boiler checked in a while. Will you come in and see what's going on? Well, that's a perfect time to use the ambient CO check in your analyzer. And essentially, the analyzer turns into a carbon monoxide checker. It'll graph the carbon monoxide that the analyzer's seeing, and it'll give you a readout. So it's important to use, if you're just detecting ambient CO, use this feature. Don't go to the combustion screen. This is going to be more accurate. This even allows you to zero out the CO sensor. And then obviously you can put this in your test report like I've been talking about, and you can deem it not okay or okay. Then that gives your customer more insight when you hand them the receipt printout of what's going on. So it's important to know too that the A450 and A550, they're kind of an all-in-one device. They have a lot of different tools in one. They turn into a combustion analysis. They turn into a CO checker. They turn into a manometer, a manifold pressure check. So it's kind of an all-in-one device, and obviously makes our devices stand out from what else is out there. So here's the tuning guide. So the tuning guide is a feature a lot of people don't know about. And the best way I always describe the tuning guide is, let's say you're doing a test on a furnace, and you're having a really hard time adjusting your carbon monoxide reading, and you've done everything that you think you can do. I would go in and then use the tuning guide. So you can use the tuning guide to adjust a gas reading with excess air. So that green bar in the graph that you see is what we call the sweet spot. So that is where you are trying to get essentially your reading to be. So on the left-hand side of the graph, you have your CO levels. On the bottom, you have your excess air. So as you can see, the red box, or the circle, is what the current reading is. So as you can see, we're way far from the sweet spot, so we have some adjusting to do. Now, obviously, this green bar is going to change depending on your fuel type. The analyzer determines the sweet spot by what fuel type you have. So this is a factory a setting or recommendation of what the excess air should be, or what your sweet spots should be. So it's kind of nice to use. A lot of people don't use it, but I do recommend trying it out just once. You do have to kind of get the feel for it. It can be tricky the first time you use it, but it is a really nice tool to have, if you're, really trying to hone in on a specific reading, or, trying to fix a problematic appliance. And yeah, like I said, this was going to be a really short presentation and just a simple review. But the rest of the time here, I do want to open it up to maybe some questions, or anything that I can answer for who's ever listening. So there should be an option to ask questions on here, and I apologize. This is the first time I'm using this webinar software, so I'm hoping there's a option for questions to be written in. Okay. Well, I haven't received any questions, but if you guys do need anything, you can reach out to me. This was kind of a short presentation, just going over some of the general overview of the analyzers. You can obviously reach out to me directly, and I can answer any questions that you have. Let me see here. I'm getting a question from Brian. Let's see. Can you go over using the unit for measuring gas? So what type of gas, my question would be to you, what type of gas are you looking to measure? I'm not sure if I understand that question. So your question is using the manifold inlet pressure, so using the built-in manometer of the analyzer. So yeah, so the A450 and A550 have a built-in manometer. So you're going to be able to see the draft readings on the when you do a combustion analysis test, and that parameter is going to be identified by PR. So there'll be depending on what analyzer you have, there's going to be a negative and a positive draft port on the bottom of the analyzer. And then you can change your hoses over to one port or the other to obviously, give you a negative draft or a positive draft. I'm hoping that answers your question. And let's see here, we got. Bear with me here while I open everybody's questions up. So a question was, on my A550, I only see CO high and COC readings, and COC is always a higher ppm. Right, so COC is carbon monoxide corrected, so it will be always a higher reading. So CO corrected is taking a reading without the influence of oxygen. So yes, it's always going to be higher. And like I said before, if you don't need the COC, you can take that right off your setup window. You can delete that off there. But I do recommend it. It's kind of helpful when you're testing. That way you can identify, what my reading would look like without the influence of oxygen. And then something I wanted to point out too is CO high is really for a specific kit of the A550. The A450s are either going to have a 0 to 5,000 CO range or a 0 to 10,000. CO high is really specific to an A550 industrial. Okay, let me see if I have any other questions here. Yeah, if any of you guys, I had a question here, is what's the best way to contact you? You can email me or call me. And I apologize, I don't have my email address on the slides. My email is n.campbell@WöhlerUSA.com. Or if you just had a general question, you could also email info@WöhlerUSA.com, and somebody can, either myself or somebody on my team can get back to you. I had a question here. Which CO reading is relevant to the boiler manufacturer's specification? So I really can't tell you that because I'm not an HVAC guy. The boiler's manufacturer specifications, I believe, would just be the carbon monoxide uncorrected. Okay, question here. I have an A450 device, but the menu is in German and does not allow me to change it to Spanish or English. I would recommend sending that in to us, and we can change that. Unfortunately, I don't believe there's a way you can change it on your own. I'd like to know where you may have purchased that from, because if you purchased it from us in the U.S., it would have came in English. So if you need it in a different language, you can send it into our U.S. service center, and they can change it for you. And then my email address is n.campbell@WöhlerUSA.com. And then you can reach me directly at 978-907-4187. And I apologize. This is the first time I'm using this webinar software, so this is brand new to me as well. I am going to put my email address and phone number in the chat here, and I'm hoping that everyone that's still sticking around here is able to receive it. And I should have you guys' email addresses too. So I know some of you guys were asking what my contact info is, and I have your email addresses. So if you don't get it, I can always send it to you directly in an email. Alrighty. Does anybody have any other questions before we end this session? Okay, well, I do really appreciate you guys sticking around here, going over it. In the future, we're going to do more webinars. Really, this was our first webinar ever. So we're going to do more in the future. I realize how important they are. Yeah, I wanted to, be able to provide everybody that registered a good experience, and at least maybe able to learn something new, a new feature that they didn't know was available on their analyzer. Like I said, obviously, if you want it ask more questions or go into depth on anything more, you can email me, call me, whatever. I'm here to support whoever needs it. So yeah, again, I really appreciate it. Hope everybody has a good weekend and a good Thanksgiving holiday. And yeah, thanks again. Take care, everyone.